Welcome to the channel. I'm glad you're here. I see a lot of confusion regarding the libraries in Lightburn, both the art library and the materials library. What they are, how you use them, what they're for, how you make adjustments. And we're going to go through all those today. So hopefully by the end of today's video, you'll have a good understanding of how the libraries in Lightburn work. So let's just jump right in over there. Okay, so you see I have some Christmas ornaments loaded on my screen. And I have the art library open, and if you don't see the art library in any of your tabs, you can do a couple things. You can right click on the title bar and make sure that art library is one of the ones that's selected, or you can go up to the window menu and same thing, art library needs to be checked. And when that shows up, you can drag it and drop it in one of the locations where you want it. Anyway, so we have these items and we want to save them into an art library. But we don't have an art library in here. Let's start by making a new one. So click on the new button. And we're going to navigate to the Lightburn drive. And I have a folder called Art inside Lightburn. We just need to name it whatever we want. We're going to call this one Ornaments. Okay, so now we see that shows up over here on the left side. So let's click on this one here. And how do we get it in there? Well, over here, you click on the button, Import Graphic from Project, and we'll call this Backer, and hit Enter. Okay, and now you see it loads up in this library over here. If we hover over it, it pops up a little bit larger thumbnail so you can see it better. Let's take and do this one. Import Graphic, call this one The Wise Men, and same thing, there it is. You hover, and it shows up. But now if you notice, on the screen, it's a filled graphic. In the library, it is not a filled graphic. It's only line art. So that's something you have to pay attention to when you load the graphics in. You'll have to reconfigure the layers to fill or whatever they are. It saves the layer color. Like here, this one has, this one has two layers. It has a black layer and a red layer in it. I turn the black layer off. You can see the red. So let's import that one, and we're going to do this one slightly different. We're going to right click just in the open area and choose Add Selection to Library. Same thing, we'll call this Angels. Okay, and same thing, you see it doesn't show up. It only shows up as the line art. Now, one more thing we can do while we're working with this library is if we click on the Import button, we're in the Ornaments library, click on the Import button. That's going to open up a dialog on our hard drive. And let's just go here to download graphics. Where's that? Christmas. And we'll call this Nativity Scene here. We're going to just load that one in. Now it brought it in, and you see it named it as Nativity Scene 3, which was the file name. So now we hover over that. We have that in our same library. Now, let's start a new file. Don't save. Okay, so we want to use the nativity scene. We can do a couple things. We can drag and drop it, and it's going to center wherever we let go of the mouse cursor. Remove that. Double click it. It's going to center on the screen. Right click. Nope. Select it and click Add Graphic to Project. It's going to center on the screen. Same thing. But now we have our Angels layer here that, as we bring that in, it's no longer a fill layer. It just shows up as lines. It still has the red and the black, and they're not even in the same order. So you need to check all those things when you bring the graphics in. But it's there. You turn this to fill. And you've got a cut down below. And now we're back to what we saved. So a couple other quick things to look at here. How do we rename one? Click on it and choose Rename. Angels with Trumpets. So now it's called Angels with Trumpets. Same file, same difference, but we just changed the name of it. So now, say you downloaded a graphics file, an art library, How do you find it? How do you load it? How do you get it in your library window? Click on the load button here. We'll go back to the art folder, and you see I've got a bunch of them here. Let's just double click on it, and now I've got animals and ornaments. Let's pick another one. Key fobs. There we go. Now I've got 3 of them loaded. To unload them, pick one, click unload, click unload. What you can't do is rename it from here. If you want to rename one of your library files, you have to, like here, animals, we have to unload it. Then we have to navigate to the folder and rename it there. Choose rename 2. Okay. And now we go to load it. Art. Now it's called Animals 2. So that's the basics of the art library. You know, I guess the main purpose of it is just to have a quick repository for all your saved art pieces that you're going to reuse over and over, and just a quick way to access them. Now let's take and move on to the materials library. Okay, so here we're in the materials library panel, and same thing, if you don't see it, go up to the window menu and pull up library, and that should pop it up for you. But we don't have a library loaded. Once you've loaded a library and used it, it'll show up in this drop-down menu. But if you're just getting started, you don't have a library loaded at all. A lot of people will try to import it or open, and they'll navigate to it, and it won't allow them to bring the library in, because just like the graphics library, the art library, you have to click the load button. So we'll click the load button, and I'll go to my Lightburn folder, and I have a folder called materials in there. And we'll just pick this Mon port, open that up, and that's okay. So now it dropped the materials library, and you see it has all these different options in it. What do these options look like? Let's see, cardboard. Click on it, no thickness, or a 2mm. So generally engrave, when you want to do an engrave, you're going to have a no thickness line above it. And for cuts, you're going to want to put in the thickness of material, because obviously a thicker material has to have different cut settings than a thinner material. So how do we use this? Well, let's start by, we'll click on our fill layer, and we'll choose the engrave and choose click assign. Now you see that assigned a speed of 500 and a power of 20%. Those are just total arbitrary numbers. Don't use them for anything, because I don't know what they're for. I didn't create this library. You know, it's just here. And then for the cut layer, we're going to choose cut and assign, and that gave it a speed of 32mm a second and 60% power. So if you go to run that, that'll run through and everything else. Now, the next option down here is link. If you click link, which I don't use link personally because it locks it out. I linked the red layer, and now I cannot make any adjustments to that red layer from here. I can still adjust the black layer, but I cannot adjust the red layer because it's linked. The only way I can make any adjustments there is I have to come down in here and choose edit to cut from down in the library. If I change it there, when I click OK, it's going to change it up here. So see, that changed, but I don't want to link it. So I'm going to click on link. Now, just look in our options here. Okay, so how do we edit a cut? And everything's called a cut, even though it says engrave, it's still a cut. So let's edit, open it up. It opens up. We can, change the line in it. We can change all the functions of it. We can, make it fill groups together individually. We can make it offset fill. We can do whatever we want to, just like on a normal layer. But it saves it to where you can reuse it again and quickly recall it. And that's the beauty of the library. Is I know some people will use, I'm always used a gray color for 3mm birch for cutting. Well, that's not the best workflow, because say you download a file and load it up, and it uses the gray layer and it's got different settings because it's not 3mm birch. Well, then that's going to overwrite, and it's not the best way. It's not the best practice to use your color layers to try and save your settings, because for one, there's only 29 of them, and you've got unlimited amounts of options you can make in the materials library. So we'll click on, let's just work our way down. We did assign, so we take something we've already created and assign it to a layer. We click link, and we typically don't want to use link. Let's make a new one to start here. So let's, just for kicks, let's change this red to green. All right, now this entire folder's file is green. We'll put it on a fill mode just so you can see it a little nicer. Okay, so let's make it 250 at 26%. 26%. Max, 20% min, whatever. Doesn't matter. I'm just showing you how to go about doing it. So we want to create a new item. So create new from layer. Now, if we name this cardboard, it'll show up in here. If we name it anything that's already in here, it's going to go underneath that. Let's do that first. Cardboard. And we'll call this 4mm. Okay, and cut. So there is no, click OK. And you see now we have a 4mm cut item underneath cardboard. I mean, obviously it's not going to be a cut because it's a fill layer. But let's make a new, make it a fill layer. Cardboard, no thickness. We'll call this dark engrave. Okay, and OK. And now that falls up under no thickness. One more. Instead of putting it on a cardboard, we're going to call it banana. And green banana. Or dark engrave. Okay. So see here where it says no thickness under cardboard, we actually assigned something to the title, so it shows up there. Okay. Now if you have it and you realize, oh, I don't want to use that setting for a green banana, let's edit my cut. And we're going to change it to only 200. I'll slow it down a little bit. Okay. Well, now that's going to come in as 200, but it didn't change our current work area. It will only change it if we assign it. Now it changed it to 200. So, 200, edit description. Well, it's not a green banana, it's a blue banana, you dummy. Okay, so now it's a blue banana for dark engrave. If you want to duplicate it, click duplicate, dark engrave copy. We can call this light, and that's going to be the same settings. So then we'll have to go in and edit the cut and change that to 10. So now that's our light settings are 10, assign, dark, assign. Okay. And if we realize that we just don't even want to deal with bananas anymore, we got to delete all the items out of it first. Delete, yes. Delete, yes. And that got rid of our bananas, because with no items in there, it's gone. Now I'm going to show you how to create a new library if you don't have one that you need to load up, or you just want to, you look like what I did. I downloaded the Monfort library just to get some ideas of where to start at with things, and then I created a new one to go with my machine. I want to make all my own cuts and settings, not using someone else and just modifying them and then having to wonder, well, is this one that I've changed, or is this one that I've downloaded, or what? So I created a new library. So let's do that right now. First, we're going to unload the existing one, make it go away. Now there's nothing here. So we'll create new library, and we're going to take this here, create new from layer, and we'll keep on with our banana theme. Click OK. And then, once you have it in there, click Save. And we're going to go back to our Lightburn materials, and we'll call this bananas. And save. And now we have a library named bananas. If you want to change the name of it, you can click up here and change it. Let's call it video test instead. and then click Save. That's one thing you'll want to do frequently. Anytime you make changes to your library, you want to click on the Save button. Just it's always, if there's a Save button, click it. And the last thing we're going to talk about with the materials library is the merge. If you downloaded, for example, you downloaded a materials library and you created a materials library of your own, and there's some things overlapping and you don't want to jump back and forth between the two libraries, you click on Merge. I have the Mon port already loaded. I'm going to merge my Tech one with it. And click Open. And then let's see here. We've got Acacia. We added. Acrylic's already there. This one here, the 3mm cut, that's going to add. Anything that's green is going to be added in. And if it's already existing, you can choose Replace with a new one, keep the original, rename the original, rename the new one. I'm not going to merge these two folders together because I don't want them to be merged, but those are your options for merging folders together. So anyway, that's the basics of the art library and the materials library, how you use them, how you make settings changes, and whatnot. So I hope this was informative and helpful to you. If it was, please like the video, please subscribe. We got more Lightburn tutorials and other stuff coming up soon. So thanks for watching. Goodbye.